everyone. It is Sherry from Sherry's Painting. Welcome back to my channel if you have been here before, and welcome to my channel if you haven't. I am going to be doing a video in real time today of a watercolor urban sketch that I have done. I was going to go outside today, but it actually is not the greatest of days today. So I'm going to be just sketching this out of my head from my trip to Ireland several years ago. It's a cottage. It's a cottage in Ireland. I have done it on a on my mixed media pad in my little sketchbook, which is where I do a lot of my templates or thumbnails or whatever it is you want to call them. So for today, the supplies you're going to need are a watercolor paper, cold pressed, hot pressed, it just doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. I am using a mixed media Canson XL mixed media pad with mine. Mine is 9 by 12. And because I'm quite enjoying doing this size of paper. Now you can certainly use some tape and tape off the edges if you want, and then rip it out and use it, hang it up once you're finished. I am going to be using several things today. I have a watercolor palette. And basically, I'm going to try and use some complementary colors today. I'm going to try and limit my palette as best I can. I think I'm going to stay towards the blues and the yellows and, you know, maybe some greens. Anyway, the way I'm doing this now is it depends on how I feel for colors, but that's what I'm going to try and stick to, the complementary colors of each one, maybe some purple, maybe some yellow, that sort of thing, but we'll try and balance that out as we go. So your watercolor palettes, I have a nice little spray bottle. So what I like to do is I like to activate my colors by just spraying them and letting them sit for a few minutes, because we're gonna sketch out what we're gonna draw here, or what we're gonna paint here first. So just activate those a little with a little bit of water. And then I have several brushes here that I probably will use. I have a little flat one, a little cheap flat one. I've got a Princeton 10, a Princeton 6, which I may or may not use. I've got a fine liner brush here again, which I may or may not use. And I also have a little flat one here, whatever that is. It's just some brush I picked up along the way. I have some Tombow pens here. I love these pens. They work out amazing for tone value, etc. So I have an N15, an N65, an N79, an N60, and an N95. I also like to use my, there's also another one I like here. It's an N75. I also use that one, as well as the N55. So I use pretty much all of that. I've got a little case with all the little goodies that I have here, so please feel free to use whatever it is you feel like using. I have Micron pens as well, which are these ones. I have a 0.1, 0.5, 0.2, 0.8, and a 0.005. Chances are I will probably use the 0.2, maybe the there should be a 0.3 in here as well somewhere. Yeah, 0.3 and maybe the 0.5, but normally I'm pretty, and the 0.1, normally I'm pretty selective on the inks. I also have some Faber-Castell pens here. I've got a colored set which is in the yellows. This is like a Naples yellow. I love the Faber-Castell pens as well. Also, I have a Micron or Univalve pen, a couple of them. I like the Vision Needle one, actually, the one that's quite little. And it's also waterproof. I I just need to find it because it's hanging in here somewhere too along the way. I may have dropped it on the floor actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, those are just a few of the things that, that we'll be using. Of course, you need your water. And I have two in specific, one for cleaning, one for the dirty, so that, you know, you're not going into muddy water, so to speak. So a lot of times it ends up being the cool colors, the warm colors, kind of mixing one set for cool, one for warm. That tends to be what I end up doing. But I have a very messy palette in case you haven't noticed. But that's okay. My watercolor journey is, you know, a little messy. So let's get going. So what we're gonna do first, I'm gonna use a bit of a darker pen to sketch out this picture that I'm gonna do from my head. So I'm going to use one of the Tombow pens because the Tombow pens actually, they are quite erasable. They kind of, they're not water, they're kind of water soluble, I guess. So anyway, I love these pens. So I'm probably going to use a little darker than I would normally, but these are brush pens. So you have the brush at one end there, and then you have the marker at the other end. So we're going to use that part to sketch out my drawing, or our drawing. So, and you can I want you to hold the pen toward the end because I want this to be really loose and free and flexible. So we're going to start here because this is where the path is going to go. It's going to, hopefully you can see this, is going to wind up and end up over there. It's going to be fairly wide here and end up winding down to here. Okay, so there's our path. Nothing too serious, just make sure it's wider toward the bottom than it is toward the top. So over here then, we're gonna have our tree, okay? And we're gonna do something different with the tree. Here in BC, which is where I live, we have a lot of Gary oaks. They're called Gary oaks. And there's lots of ivy and stuff growing at the bottom of the Gary oak. So that's what we're kind of gonna do. So I'm gonna do a very rough lie down as to where this is going to be. So it's going to be about right there. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm doing for the sketch on that, because this is going to have watercolor in it. Now we've got in my original sketch, we have a rock wall that comes along here. Again, I hope you guys can see this okay. I'm not going in a straight line here anywhere, in case you haven't noticed. Okay, here's the bottom of the rock wall. There you go, like that. Okay, comes down there. Then we have, we're gonna have this house, and it's gonna come about here. So just a triangle shape, that's all we're doing there. And then we're gonna just draw him along in here. He's gonna come down here. Now, I'm not saying my perspective is perfect here, everybody, because it just isn't. So this is gonna have, you just wanna draw a little line there where the edge of the roof is, and then we're gonna connect that dot. Keep your eye on the prize there, and that way you go nice and straight. We also have a hill that's coming down here in front of the house and in behind that wall, so I'm gonna indicate that with that line. And then this is gonna come down, this is gonna come down here, and we're gonna put that one down there. So that's pretty easy, pretty simple, basic little shapes, okay? So then I'm gonna draw the top of this house has like a little chimney on it, so I'm gonna draw this as well. And it's gonna come down like this, okay? Go up here maybe a little bit more, and then it's going to have a little piece that sticks out and goes at the top. Okay, again, this is just sketched out. This is nothing too serious here. We're going to have a little window here, And pause the video, you guys. If you need more time than this, please do pause the video. Okay, so there's our little window here. And then we're gonna have a window that comes right down here. And then I'm gonna have a door that comes over here, just like that. And the door will be in that way and over that way. Okay, so really simple, simple, simple little sketch. And I'm gonna have some grasses and things in behind here, but I don't wanna do that quite yet because we're gonna do something special with that tree. And then over on this side, I think we're gonna have, like, there's gonna be a little rock here. So we're gonna add that in, maybe a little rock here as well, just to add in an extra, just to make it a little bit more balanced and even. But we're gonna leave a lot of white space on this picture, okay? So with that then, what we're gonna do is go right on to the next step. Okay, everyone, so for this step, I found my Univalve pen. It's called a Vision Needle. Okay, I think I got this at Walmart. They were a pack of 3, but it's a nice fine little tip. So it works really well for this kind of thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a minimal amount of line work here. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna go over what I've done with the house, and I don't want it to be just one solid line. So I would like it to be, you know, a little jutted, add some character in there. I just don't want it to be like this solid line. I just want it to have a little bit more character to it. So I'm just gonna go basically over what we've done with that other pen. I am going to actually go over the wall here as well. Again, just to reiterate, and we're gonna draw a few more things in here. I'm gonna stretch that wall out a little bit. And then down at the bottom base, down in here, there's gonna be a little edge on that wall, and then this wall is gonna have some fairly big little rocks in it like this. So you can add those in now if you want, which I think I'll do. There you go. And I mean, they can be different shapes, different sizes, because that wall at the top is not even. So we can have all kinds of different things in the wall. And you might even get some plants hanging over that wall too. So let's go just back to the house for a second. Or the cottage. So I'm just gonna draw those lines back in. And this does not have to be, my drawings are by no stretch of the imagination perfect in any way, shape, or form. So please don't feel that you need to be perfect here, okay? So I'm just doing this now just to add in a little bit of, a little bit more information about the house. So, and that's the window, it's coming out underneath that edge of that roof. And here's our door frame again. So that way. I'm not really gonna, I think I might draw in a little bit here, but I'm gonna make it very, very uneven here because that hill goes right in front of that house. The path here as well, let's just draw that really in here too. Again, squiggly little lines, just make it so that it is thinner at the top than at the bottom. Again, we're gonna have these rocks in here, which we're gonna have grasses and things over here, like this, and in there. So you know what, nice and loose, nice and free, everybody. This is not, you know, I want this to be very simple for us this time. Again, we're gonna do that chimney here, and you notice how I have a little squiggle in my, a little shakiness there, which I'm not doing on purpose, by the way. It's just the way it is. So and then just that little round bit at the top. I am not gonna cover that tree part yet because we're gonna do something special with that. So this is step 2, pretty simple. Oops, I forgot one part of the house here. Okay, so there we go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay that paint on, okay? And then we're gonna let it dry. We're gonna start over here. So I want you to grab whatever brush you're comfortable with. For this particular step, I am going to be using my number 6 Princeton brush, and I'm gonna dip into the water. Now I do have, for my own benefit, I have a list of what colors I have here because I can never remember the names, so I just thought I'd list them all off. So I'm going to be using, I think it's called Gamboge, and that's what I'm going to be using first here, because what we're going to do is this little tree right here. Okay, so I'm going to dip my brush in water. The other thing you need is paper towel, everybody. So I'm going to dip my brush in there and then just lightly dip it on the paper, and I'm going to grab some of this because I want this to be very light on this side. So the light is going to be coming in from this direction, at least that's how I'm looking at it. So what I want is just to lay down, I'm just gonna lay down in here very light. And you know, and I'm kind of just going in a, I'm just kind of going in a pokey fashion, I guess, and poking holes, or I guess just, yeah, stippling, I guess is what I'm looking for. And we're going all the way up there, all the way up. And then you're gonna see what we're gonna do with that. Leave some blank or some white places too. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and put another little bit on there. And these little trees, these Gary Oaks, they get these vines at the bottom of them, and so that's what we're kind of doing right now. We're putting in those vines. So just a nice even little, and we'll have probably one part going up here, one part going up there. But for now, that's good. That's what we're looking for. And then what you want to do is you want to dip your brush again in the water, and then go into the clean water. And we're going to go in now with with light green. Okay, that's this color here. That I just got a little purple in there. I don't want that. See, everybody makes mistakes. So that purple must have spilled out from underneath there. So now I'm gonna go in, because we've established the light's coming here. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna go to the back of the tree here. And I'm just haphazardly gonna be putting in little pieces, little flicks of green here and there, okay? And again, we're gonna go all the way up and on the back side here. And this is just the second layer. Again, I'm gonna grab a bit more, make it a little bit darker here. And it's just gonna gently mix with the other part. And down in here, and this is lighter here. There we go, okay. So that works out really good. And then we're gonna take a really, like, it's like a sap green, I guess. It's this one here, and it's quite a bit darker, and you're gonna put your brush in there, and you're gonna get quite a bit of that. But you want this one to be a bit more consistent, like a little less watery. This one you want a little bit creamier, okay? And this one, you're just gonna dab in as well. Don't kill all that green that you just put in there underneath, okay? And this is gonna be really toward the back of that tree. There you go. And we may have to add a little more on, but I feel like this is a good way to go. And then what we want to do with this, I'm just going to extend that back onto the grass a little bit, pull out some things here on the grass. like that. And then what we're gonna do, if you notice, this brush has a fine tip to it. So I'm just gonna pull out a few little branches here, okay? And you kind of want them, because with these Jerry oaks or Gary oaks, they have little branches that flit off from underneath. So we just want to grab a few of those and pull them out and pull them to the scene. So we want to go in here, darken that a little bit, and go back into that dark color and just pull out a few more. And you may think this is kind of bizarre, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And you want to cross them and make sure that they're okay. And I mean, again, my work is not by any stretch of the imagination perfect. Okay, so there's our Gary oak, and we don't want, I'm gonna put a little bit more over here as well, just to make it look a little more even. We're gonna pull out some grasses from underneath, and then we're gonna fix that all up too, everybody. So we're gonna go back to that tree in a moment here. So now what we want to do for the rest of this then is we are going to haphazardly put on color, but we want to make sure that it's complementary colors. And you may find that I end up going in here and wrecking this. I mean, it's just the way it is. But I want to sort of keep it, I want to sort of keep the house on the whiter side. But sort of not too. So it's really hard for me to explain what I'm going to do here other than I'm going in. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start with that yellow. Okay. And I've got my flat brush here for this now. And I'm going to start with that yellow. And I am going to put that yellow in here. Okay. Right in this area. And then I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm actually going to go in with purple or violet, and I'm going to throw that right in here because that's just how I feel today. Okay, and just let that run. I might add a little water to that just to let it do its thing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab some ultramarine blue because I like the color of the blue, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to make it really, really dark at the bottom here. Okay, and again, it's going, this is the ugliest your picture is going to look, by the way. You're going to think, what the heck is she doing? But it's really super pretty by the time it's done. In here, I'm going to put a little bit of blue. Like, my colors are just all over the place. Okay, that's just the way it is. See how they're blending together there? I love that. And it's going to take a little bit for it to dry for sure. We're going to use a little bit of green. I'm definitely going to be going in here and fixing up that part. I want the green in here. I want the different kinds of greens. Again, I love this, and we're going to mix and blend in here as well. I want maybe some reds in here as well, like that wall, and just blend them together. And then I promise you, you'll think this is just the awfulest thing you've ever seen. But when we actually go to put in our line work, it'll be fantastic. So here I'm going to put a little yellow down in here just to sort of balance things out a little bit. In here, I'm going to put a little bit of burnt sienna in here just to do that path. And again, it's gonna look like, you know, heck, but it works. It just works. I'm going to add a little more of that blue in there. I'm going to leave some of that house in a white state. I'm going to add some more there. I'm going to add a little burnt sienna over here, actually. And I'm going to put a little bit of red on that door right here, just to make it a nice little red door and to balance that part out. These are the windows. I'm not too worried about that. I'm actually going to put a little red over here too. Maybe we've got some red on that road there, just again to balance that picture out. And in here, just a little bit of water And then oh, we need some splashes. So I'm gonna get some of that red. I'm gonna splash that in like this, and I'm also gonna get some gray, because the gray is gonna tone things down a little bit. I'm gonna splash that in like that, and just add some splashes in there. I'm gonna get some blue, add that to the sky. And this is the fun part about this, you guys, is that we don't have to, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is not a perfect thing. This is just, and it's just fun. So now we're gonna let it dry, and you're thinking, oh my word, this is just the awfulest thing you've ever seen. But you know what? By the time it's finished, it'll be great. So I'll see you back on the next one. So you can dry it faster by using a hairdryer. I have a little portable heater, actually, because it's cold. So I've got a little portable heater that I have turned on to help me with the drying process. And then if you find that your page is pulling up, you can always clamp it down with a little alligator clip. So that's what I will do, because I used quite a bit of water. All right, so what we're gonna do now is our line, a little bit of line work, okay? Make sure that this is all dry, because you don't wanna ruin your pens. But when I say line work, what I mean is, for instance, because I'm not working from any kind of photograph, I'm sort of doing this out of my head. What I want to do is I want to go in and I'm going to make some, on here, I'm going to put a few little grassy things, okay, or plant things, like just by making some little curly cues. And I mean, I try and do the outside of the pen. You know, maybe this sticks out here a little bit, that sticks out there. So just to make it look like there's a little bit of grass in here, or not grass, a few little, you know, plants that might grow off, mosses or whatever the case may be. So anyway, anywhere in here that you feel like you need to do that. Just gonna work on that for a bit. I'm gonna come back in here, I'm gonna work on these stones as well, okay, because we need a bit of darkness in there. I'm using my Univalve pen, by the way, and I'm just going in and I'm just defining a few of these stones and making a few others along the way. We will be doing grasses and things too. I'm just getting myself comfy here, and we're going to be doing some tone work as well with those other pens. So just, you know, loose and free. Notice where I'm holding my pen, it's toward the end. So, and this is just, you know, this is just so much fun, and I want you guys to, you know, most of all, just have fun with this and know that it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? We're gonna fix up that tree, though, talking about not being perfect. We are gonna be fixing up that tree a touch by adding a few things in with our other markers and things. So don't worry or fret if your tree is not how you want it to be. So I'm just gonna go in here and try and finish this up and try and finish up a few of these rocks on there. And then what I'm gonna do for the roof here is I'm gonna just draw some lines across here just to, and again, I don't want them to be straight, completely straight lines. I want them to have a little bit of wiggle in there just to represent maybe a little bit of age on that roof. And right in between, again, nothing has to be perfect here at all. Okay, so there's a little bit of our roof. We got a little bit of texture there. In here, the house is gonna have little bricks as well. So I feel like that pen is a little bit too thick, so I'm gonna switch up now to my 005 because it's a little bit thinner. So, and it has little bricks and things in here too, but I'm just going to indicate them in certain places just so that you know that that's what this little cottage is made of stone. I don't want them as big as these ones were, and I don't want them as dark. I mean, you're certainly going to have little areas of darkness in here, but I don't want them all dark. And using the thinner sort of pen makes it look like, you know, like you've got a little bit of, it's at more of a distance, I guess. So again, I'm just going to go in here, add a couple there. I'm actually going to add a little sort of window scape right here too in mine. You don't have to do that in yours, but whatever you feel. And then again, a couple little rocks and stones over here just to indicate that is what that building is made of. This might be brick, so maybe this is, you know, a bit of brickwork in here. Again, another sort of little pattern there. And maybe this has got an old wood door, so I'm going to go straight down with this fine liner, just like this, and add some little squiggly lines there along with a little handle. So there you go. So now that is looking better already, right? Right. So maybe in here, in behind here, maybe back in here, we've got a little tree back here. So again, just a squiggly little line that starts from the base and it's off in the distance, so it's not as, you know, not dark like the other tree in the foreground. So maybe that's just a little tree in the back. Maybe there's another one back here just to indicate, you know, that we're off in the distance there. Again, in here, maybe there is some rocks and things along this path. So we can put little squiggly marks in there as well. And as it gets here, I'm going to take that off now. As it gets here, you know, maybe they get to be a little bit bigger. Okay, maybe these little rocks get to be a bit bigger, like that. Okay, yeah, I'm running out of juice on that. Okay, so I'm gonna go with my 01 if I can find it. There it is. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along and I'm going to put some crevices and things, creeks and crevices in some of these rocks. And again, no straight lines here. I just don't allow it. I don't want you guys to stress about the line thing, and whatever happens, happens. This is, you know, this is what this lesson that I'm showing you is all about, is that nothing has to be perfect, okay? Again, I'm going to do some little rocks and things in here just to show, you know, that's what this is. And as it comes forward, they get bigger, but maybe there's little clumps of them, little pieces of them in here and in there. Back in here, we might have some grasses and things back here. So, and you notice that I'm kind of jumping all over because, you know, it's just, I don't know why I do that, but I just feel like I don't get more than ahead of myself, I guess. So here we've got this hill coming down here in front of the house, okay. Again, we're gonna indicate some of these bricks over here. This has got little window things on it. And here I'm going to go on a diagonal like this with my pen and just kind of shade that in a little bit with diagonal movement. It's called hatching, okay. I'm going to shade that in a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing here. A little bit of hatching it's called there. And that just makes it, gives it another little dimension. So now what I want to do in here is I want to go in to the side here where the tree is, and we're going to make, I can't remember what these things are called, but I know they're not not the best thing to come in contact with. Poison oak, I feel like it might be. And these are going to come along and they're going to sit in front of this tree here. And then you might have some grasses and things here. And again, over here and over here. And you want to just be really loose and free with your pen. And we're going to fill in a lot of this with the tone pens as well. And maybe there's other leaves that are, you know, coming out of here. We just don't know what's going on over in this area here. So we just want to have some things sticking out here and there. Maybe it's going that way, coming through here, like that, and then here, like that. And maybe there's some coming this way, down underneath. Maybe there's some leaves, maybe up in here we've got one. Again, it's just loose and free, whatever your imagination allows you to do. Maybe we just have some grasses. We might have some rocks over on this side also. So let's just put a couple in, and then we're going to lay them down with a couple of grasses here. Again, these are going to be laid down with some grass, like that. Maybe one of those little things is over here too. Maybe over here. Maybe it's a different kind of thing. Maybe it's a vine or something. So we just don't know what's in front of those rocks. And then of course, as you go further on down the page toward the cottage, you want your grasses and things to become a little smaller. But I don't want to overdo this either. So, you know, we got to keep that in mind. Possibly there is a bush here. So maybe there's just a big bush in the front here. Maybe this goes this way. And here's the bush in front there, just like that. And maybe he's got some curly things on him, again, that go out. And for that matter, you know, it could be that our house even has some little grassy things growing from it as well. Because sometimes with these old cottages, they have little things coming out. So we can put some of those in there, again, up in here. Okay, so now we're going to do some tone work here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our Tombow pens. I am going to use it's called N65 here. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to actually color in this window, okay? And again, I'm going to color in that window. Just like that. It just adds a little bit extra. I'm going to put a little bit underneath here because that's where our shadow would be in our house. Again, a little bit here and a little bit there. So a nice, easy little movement. This will be our shadow side, but I feel like that one is going to be too dark. So I'm going to go more like this one. It's a little lighter in color. So I feel like that's better. Leave that light side light. Also, I'm going to go in the back here and I'm going to make a hill back here. So just to represent the distance. So if you just lie it flat, and then I'm just going to make this hill go up here and just in behind there, just to add a little more depth to the picture. Just like that. Maybe that hill goes all the way back over here. So just to give you a little bit more look onto that picture. Okay, see, isn't this looking amazing already? Okay, so now also the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that marker again, and I'm just going to add a few little darker bricks here and there. Okay, this is the side that's fairly lit, so I'm going to leave that, maybe that one, and then I'm going to grab a different one. Maybe we're going to grab this one now. This one is the N79. It's a little bit lighter in color, and it's more, you know, toward the sepia tone, I guess. Maybe we're gonna add some in there. Maybe down in here at the bottom. Just like that, along the top here, along this bottom piece here, just to add a little shade in there for the wall. There you go. And then maybe there's one here too, and maybe one over here, and one back in here. And we'll do that, those other ones there. I'm gonna add a little bit of tonal work in here, I feel, too, just to darken that up a touch. And again, another little layer here to darken that up. Can use it back here too. So just to add a little bit of depth into this area, just add a few little things to make those stand out a little bit more. And over here as well. And again, just doing all these little things just adds a little bit of extra to your drawing or your work. I'm gonna go back to my the 005 pen, and I'm gonna add a few little more brick things in here as well, just to let you know that this is what is going on this side of the house as well, or this side of the cottage. There we go. And maybe over there, maybe there's one there and one there. And then I'm gonna go in here as well, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of hatching with this pen too, just to add a little bit of extra there as well. Maybe back in here, maybe down in here. And you don't always wanna go the same way. Maybe this one's going this way and it's a little bit darker, maybe a little darker there as well. I feel like I'm gonna add a little bit in here again and go the other way this time. Again over here. Just, this is called cross hatching. So you're going a little bit more the other way. And I'm gonna leave those windows the same there. I might go in here too with the rocks with the tone, well, I will be going in with the tonal values there as well. Don't forget about this guy. We're gonna go in and hatch in here too. There you go, and he might be a little bit darker because he's toward the top. So, and again, I feel like I want to do that a little bit darker. This is the third coat of hatching now. So again, I want to go a little bit darker there. And then I'm going to take my Tombow pens again, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make a few little dark ones here too, along with these bricks. There you go. Not too many, but just a few, just to show that they're the differences. I'm going to go a little darker in here because this is toward, there you go, in here. And then I'm going to take my number 1 again, and, or that's my number 3, sorry, my number 1. And we're going to go in and we're just going to make these as well. And we still have the tree to do too, which is kind of fun. So I'm just gonna hatch back in here a little bit with this one. Okay, and then make some more tonal values. And you know what, there might be, maybe there's some things over here too. Maybe they're sticking out a little bit here, the weeds and the trees in the back. Maybe there's a few trees back in here that we don't forget about. You know, so I mean, there's always going to be things to look at. I'm going to go in here, make a couple more rocks. Sorry, I'm skipping all over the place because it's just the way my brain works. So I'm just going to go in here, make a few rocks there, and that's coming right off that page. All right, let's go in and do some tonal work on the rocks now, okay? So I'm just gonna take this is my number N60, and I'm gonna go in here and I'm just gonna make a couple of little shadows in here, just to make it look like, hey, that's a rock sitting there. And then it'll pick up that little splash of paint too, which kind of makes it look really neat as well. Maybe that's a little dark piece in there, back in there. There you go. And dark along in there. Again, darker in here, and in there, and this one too. And back on this one as well. And then we're gonna set that guy down a little bit more too in here. Okay, so we're gonna go back to, this is my number 1 pen, and I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna make a few more of these guys, because I just feel like, and then I feel like I need to do a bit more grass and things here. So there you go. A few more grass and things there. And I mean, you know, do whatever makes you happy, because, you know, ultimately this is your drawing. So you have to be happy with what, you know, you're putting forth, right? So I feel like, you know, here we're gonna have a few more, but maybe they're a little bit smaller in here, just to, you know, make the impression of that. Again, there you go. So again, this is just, you know, maybe this is a little wall coming down here. Maybe that's what I feel like that's gonna be, is a little wall here. And it's gonna go like that. And this part goes right up in here and comes out there, and then goes back into the distance there. So there's all kinds of little things you can do. So let's go, I'm gonna put a few more grasses in here and things, and along in here, and that one's more over that way, so we're not really worried. I'm gonna put a few more grasses here. Maybe there's some coming out here. And here, I'm not worried about it too much. I'm just sort of, you know, looking and just adding a few things here and there. We're gonna be adding some dark in here too, as well. So, you know, just to let you know that there is some negative space happening here. Again, maybe that's dark in there and that in there. Again, on the house too, but not as much here. But just to let you know that there is negative space here as well. Okay, so maybe there and there and there. And I mean, it makes it look, oh gosh, my camera moved here. Sorry about that. I get so into what I'm doing and then don't even realize what's going on. So again, we're doing all kinds of little circles and things over here. And I've drawn all types of little things here too. And maybe there's some big leaves coming out of here too. So maybe they're in there as well. You just don't know what you got going on until you're in there. So again, it's just all about how you perceive things. So here I'm going to go in now into this tree here that we did, and I'm just going to make little squigglies in here too, because this is that stuff that grows on this tree, and you can't even see, honestly, the actual trunk of the tree. And then I'm just going to go and I'm going to accentuate those branches here with my fine liner. So again, just, you know, going free, and they go right up the branches here, this stuff. And so just by making those squiggly little lines, you're indicating that you know, that there is in fact a vine or ivy on that line, and you just want to be, you know, this does not have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I just want the point to get across, because you were probably thinking, oh my God, what is she doing there? But it is so, it's so cool doing all of these little things in here, because, you know, then you know that that there's vegetation there, and there's, you know, things to look at and things to walk on, and then maybe we've got some grasses and things in between here that are growing up in there, and they're growing up here too. So again, you know, it's not all, and I don't want it to be I don't want this to be a difficult thing. I want this to be fun for everyone. So again, we can do a lot more tonal work in here, and you know, take your time with this. Stop the video and take your time with it. But for now, that to me is pretty much not, well, to me it's not completely finished, and I will probably do quite a bit more work on it. But I feel like I'm getting my point across. I feel like we've probably created a beautiful picture from something that, you know, was just a few lines to begin with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be trying to post a picture at least once a week. So have fun, get those sketchbooks out, get those paints out, and just slap your paint on and see what comes out of it, because you know what, you might get something really beautiful. Okay, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye for now.